So we are getting close to being able to estimate how many cows can run in a particular pasture, or what's the carrying capacity of that pasture. One of the places we start is estimating the productivity of that pasture. We're going to talk about productivity in terms of pounds per acre because it's fairly easy to conceptualize. Pounds per acre can be estimated a variety of ways. The range scientists throw hoops and clip and weigh and dry and go through lots of effort to estimate pounds per acre. Well, we don't need to be that exact. A trained eyeball can come pretty close at estimating the pounds per acre in a pasture. We call this ocular estimate. Let's talk about how to perform an ocular estimate on a pasture and give you some examples that you can start training your eyeball from.
When we do ocular estimates of forage production, we look across the land and then we also look down into the land to see what's growing. We're looking at species composition, height of those plants, as well as plant density and vigor. As we look across this site, we see quite a bit of variation. There's some places that are dominated by our lower growing species and other sites that have a good population of the taller growing, more productive species. So step one is to estimate pounds per acre. If we took a guess at this site, how many pounds per acre of above ground biomass could we put in the belly of a cow? How close could the cow's lips get to the ground to graze it? And then we're also thinking about dried plant material, air dried plant material. So if we got on our hands and knees and we clipped everything that a cow would eat at the height that her lips could get it, if we put it into a paper bag, left it on the dash of the pickup during a hot day and let it dry out, and then we weighed it, how many pounds per acre might we have at this site? As we look across this and as we look down into it, take a guess. Is it 1,000 pounds per acre? Is it half a ton if we were able to cut this for hay? It's probably not that productive. Is it only 100 or 200 pounds per acre? I think it's more productive than that. Our guess on this site is it's somewhere around 500 to 600 pounds per acre is what the forage production that's standing out here today is. So we talked about different plant communities, different productive potential among those plant communities. Where I'm standing now has more cool season, taller grasses than the previous spot. So let's ask the same questions. How many pounds per acre is out here today? If we were to cut this for hay, how many pounds per acre might we get once we had air dried forage? Is it more or less than the last site? I see it as quite a bit more. Well, the last site we said was between 500 and 600 pounds per acre. With the dominance of these cool season grasses, this site might go 800 to 1,000 pounds per acre. Different site, shallower soil, wider spaced plants. However, when we look down into here, these plants do have some stature to them. So when we start talking about total pounds per acre of this site today, maybe 300 pounds per acre. All right, we're at a different type of site now than the previous sites we stopped at. This is a improved pasture, mostly dominated by crested wheatgrass as well as some western wheat coming in here. So when we look at pounds per acre of this site, quite a bit more uniform. We can look across the pasture, we can look down into it, look at the density of the plants as we walk through them, look across for height. I see this is about 800 pounds per acre of air-dried forage. The difference here is we can take a lot more of what's out here and put it into livestock. We can graze this pasture more severely than we can graze our native range and still have fairly healthy plants that are going to respond well to that. And another thing about crested wheatgrass is the growth window is very narrow. So it's one of our earliest greening up species, but it also forms a seed head earlier than most things, and its growth window will close earlier. That makes it susceptible to receiving precipitation during that growth window. If it gets good rain, it can be nice and productive. If it doesn't get rain during that critical growth window, it won't be very productive. Also, animals tend to not like it after it's formed a seed head and become mature. So the window of opportunity to use crested wheatgrass is a fairly narrow one, but it can take some severe grazing and respond well to that.